Well, welcome. I'm so glad that you're here today for this pilot of the group coaching program for young professionals. This is a simulation to give folks a picture of what the actual group coaching program looks like. Especially my thanks to each of you who came today, because this is going to be, again, not the full picture or not the real, group as it were here. But I am happy that you're here, and I'm looking forward to actually running a real session with you to give you some value, both professionally and personally. And you get to experience what group coaching is like. So, with that, I was hoping we could just go around. Everyone could introduce themselves real briefly. Maybe if you're comfortable, share company you work for, and maybe one thing that you have found valuable in your career, just a short idea of something that you found to be useful. So, with that, no particular order, feel free to jump in.
I can go first. I will say I just did work training this week, so like going around and sharing our like inspiration, I was like, okay, cool, I got one. Um, that type of thing. But my name is Taylor Simon. I am a senior marketing coordinator for KCI Technologies, which is a full service engineering firm. We are based out of Maryland, but have offices all over the country. And one of the kind of big ideas that we were talking about this week during our team training and development was like being leaders in a non-leadership role. And I think that's really important in a lot of people's jobs that you can, or just even in life, that you can be a leader just kind of every day in your actions and your words and that kind of thing. So, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Taylor. Welcome.
I can go next, I guess. I'm Julia Casey. I work at a IT company based in Baltimore, Click Solutions. We also have kind of a digital marketing agency side as well, which I do sales for, and then I help plan events for the IT side, as well as video projects and little tasks in between. Um, I guess something I have learned that is helpful. It's a good question. Um, I I don't know if this is kind of what you're looking for, but I have been going to more networking events recently, and I have found that the more you go, the better you are at it, and the more connections you make, even if it's not like going to be a sale, like it's almost better to have that connection because it results in maybe more connections or referrals or things like that. So it's been really fun just going out and talking to people.
That's great. And the power of a network. Yeah. When you know people, that opens doors. Yeah, that's well said. Thank you, Julia. Thanks for being here.
I
Zachary, can I
can,
jump in?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah.
sorry, I don't know who I
Stephanie.
was cutting
No,
off.
no,
So
no, no. Go
sorry.
ahead, Stephanie. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, hi, I'm Stephanie Corona. I work for St. John Properties. We're a commercial real estate developer. I do leasing mostly in the Baltimore County and Carroll County areas. And I would say something that I have found valuable. There's many things, of course, but to piggyback off of the last person, I'll say just sort of the building of great relationships with folks. And I'll add to that being in person um, for our workday has been so beneficial for that because it gives me the opportunity to internally and externally, of course, but internally at our office, I can just walk to anybody's office and go in and say, hey, I'm having this issue or I'm working on this project. Do you think you could lend me a hand? And I've had the opportunities to build those relationships with them. And it really just facilitates any challenges that I'm facing and gives great opportunities for teamwork. So
Yeah.
that's what I'll share. Thank you.
That's great, Stephanie. Thank you so much. And yeah, funny concept in 2025 to be in person, but it definitely can spark collaboration. And yeah, that's great. Thanks for sharing that. Let's see, Christina and then Gloria. I saw you both had unmuted. If you don't mind sharing.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Christina Murphy. I work for an international nonprofit that's based in Washington, D.C., but I live in Baltimore. Um, I think one of the things that has been driven home over the years for me is how important it is to plan but not get too attached to any one outcome. I do a lot of program management in my role, and so my job is to keep things on schedule and make sure that we're hitting targets and getting there and things are getting done. But um, the work that we do is also sort of inherently volatile. And so a lot of times I'm forced to pivot and change course. And that's hard for me sometimes personally because I like the organization and I like a plan and everything. But um, it has been a real area of growth for me to be able to pivot and, just roll with the punches as they come and figure out like, all right, this maybe isn't ideal, but how do we still make this happen and get to like our second best outcome. So yeah, that's been a definitely a key thing in my work the last few years.
Awesome. Great. Thanks, Christina. Yeah. Yeah. Rolling with the punches, planning, but not being attached to a specific follow through on that plan. Good lessons. Thank you for sharing that. Gloria, welcome.
Hi, good morning, everyone. My name is Gloria, and I work for a communication and marketing firm specializing in government contracts with the Maryland Transportation Administration. And I recently transitioned into this new role. I used to work with John Hopkins as a social media manager. However, with the recent cuts and layoffs, I and our director, we were both laid off. Luckily, I was able to land a new consulting job as a marketing consultant for this new firm. And we do a lot of government contracting work. So for me, it's just transitioning at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. No, congratulations on your new role. I'm sorry for the layoff.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, grateful you're here today. Thank you for making the time.
Oh, and I'm also in Baltimore. I heard a lot of people are in Baltimore. So yeah. Hi,
Yeah.
every Baltimoreans.
Baltimore represent.
Yep.
That's great. All right. Thank you. Khalil?
All right. Hi guys. I am a workforce development information specialist at Howard Community College. So I work in higher education. I've been within this role for about 2 years. With that, I provide support and guidance to many array of students within the sector that I do. I work with mainly with the computer and IT section, and also childcare, and also I work with closely with the apprenticeship program. So we provide a lot of opportunities to students, 16 all the way up to age 75, depending on what do you want to, what they want to do, and provide shorter term degrees than the 2 year degree programs that we do offer here. That's just a little thing that I kind of do here at community college higher education level. I would say for me, um, in my professional career, that right now it's other than just working in this department, I would say just the diversity of meeting different people um, with and networking in that aspect to just learn different things about the tips and the trades about where people are coming from and where I would like to grow from here. So the main thing I would say is the networking opportunities within the departments or inter departments as well, and so forth and so on, meeting new people. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Khalil. And yeah, the power of networking and meeting different people and different perspectives, hard to overstate how valuable that can be. And while I don't typically expect that in this 1 hour of the group coaching program, we'll be doing an extensive introduction. I wanted to give folks, especially folks who are watching the recording, a sense of the different or variety of different types of young professionals and industries and experiences that folks have here. And so thank you for doing that, as well as I'm glad that you all now have had the opportunity to meet each other. And I think that networking and building a supportive community for yourself of other young professionals is definitely a really helpful part of advancing one's career. And I know it has been for me. So with that, I'm glad to see some of you eating. Please do continue to eat. This is a lunch hour, so by design, right? Sometimes it's hard to get away during the workday, but if you want to invest in yourself and you want to spend some time learning and growing, well, setting aside a lunchtime to have a meeting or a conversation like this is oftentimes the time that it can happen. And so that was done by design here. Also, coaching. Coaching is a conversation. And in a group context, right, we're going to kind of have a group conversation around a specific topic. Now, coaching is very much led by a coach who's asking questions. And that said, I'm not necessarily going to define or decide what it is that we all talk about today, because you, as the coaching clients in this case, would be the ones really driving the agenda and what's most valuable and important for you today. But that said, group coaching does require sometimes a little bit of some options. So I did come prepared with at least two options that we can choose from, or a third if there's something else that you decide you'd prefer to talk about instead. And the first option would be talking about lifelong learning and how do you, as a young professional, learn? Learn more effectively. What are your habits, routines, disciplines around growing yourself and your learning? The second option would be support. Support is so important for us in our careers, and we don't always have a great sense of, who our support team is. And so there's a support mapping exercise that I've come prepared to do with you in the event that you'd be interested in identifying, well, who's your support team? Are there gaps, and who else could you be adding to it? So just want to get a poll from you all. If you like topic one about lifelong learning, topic two about support mapping, or if you want to try a third option, and ultimately it'll be your decision that drives where we go today. So I guess if you'd like, you can type one in the chat if you like lifelong learning topic, two in the chat if you like support, or if you're driving, Stephanie, looking at you. Feel free to just unmute if you're safely able to do so you're not messing with the chat, and let me know what your preference would be.
Two.
Two. Okay. All right. Thank you, Stephanie. All right, Gloria, Khalil, what are you guys thinking?
I'm not picky. So I'm okay with either.
Yep, likewise.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm open to both. But if I
Okay.
had to choose a side,
Two. Okay. All right, Julia, I heard you say you were okay with either. You're flexible. So I'm hearing probably a little bit more emphasis toward two. Taylor, would that be okay? Yeah. Okay. So support mapping. All right, great. So this will be probably easiest if you have a piece of paper in front of you or if you're on a computer. But Stephanie, conceptually you can still build this. So definitely don't worry about trying to pull over to the side of the road. And the way that I'd like to coach us through this is generally we're going to start with a few questions. And so it'll be about 5 minutes. In fact, you might even want to go off camera for a couple of minutes here as we do this, as you think. And then I'd like to actually put you in a breakout room. So I'll split you 3 and 3 so you can have kind of a smaller group discussion around this. And then we'll come back together and discuss, what did you learn? What was valuable to you? And kind of what does your support map look like? Does that sound good today?
Yes.
Okay.
sounds good.
All right, great. Great. So if you'd like to go off camera, you're welcome to here, but I'm going to ask you a handful of questions around support mapping. And we'll start actually with the first question, which is, who would you say is currently a part of your support team? You can define that both personally and professionally. So people might include a coach or a therapist. People would usually include a family member, friend, and you can think more broadly about it in terms of mentors and others as well. So you don't have to use specific names that you can for you, because this list is for you to define who it is that you are getting support from. for your career primarily, but also in your life. So go ahead and take about 60 seconds to think through some of those people or even some of those roles that you have already good support around. By the way, if you're watching the recording, you can do this too.
Excuse me, do you mind repeating the question, please?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for asking, Gloria. So the question is, who are the current supporters that you would say are in your support team, both professionally and personally?
Awesome, thank you.
Right. And we're going to keep moving, though if you're still thinking of people, you can keep writing that down. And so you've thought of some of the folks who are currently support teams or on your support team, but where are you currently feeling a little unsupported? It could be in terms of emotional support through family, friends, or a therapist. It could be in terms of professional guidance, right? Maybe you have a mentor, but you don't have a sponsor who opens doors like a super mentor would. Um, maybe you have a supportive supervisor, um, but your team is not as supportive as it could be, right? So think about the gaps here and see what you can do to identify at least one area where you're feeling a gap in terms of the kind of support that you would want in an ideal scenario. All right. So now that you've maybe identified an area where you're feeling a gap or a lack of support, let's rate that on a scale of 0 to 10 in terms of how painful that is or how significant it is to you that you'd like to adjust that. So if it's like a 0, that's no pain at all. It's not an issue. I don't really need that support. If it's a 10, it's like, this is debilitating. I needed this, weeks ago. This is too painful, right? So go ahead and score where you think that is in terms of your level. Right. Now, maybe you have a score and you can think of it in terms of you've got a kind of minor pain. That would be more of like a 1 to a 3. A 4 to a 6 would be sort of moderate. And a 7 to a 10 would be somewhere between, painful, highly painful to extreme pain. So what I'd like to do now is to put you into some breakout rooms to discuss. And in this case, I think what I'll hopefully do is I'll drop in as an observer and just listen in as you talk. But I want to give you all of you about 10 minutes. Maybe I'll give you a little bit more if it turns out the conversation is going really well and you need more time. but about the next 10 minutes or so to discuss within a group of three of what it is that what your support team looks like, where that gap is, and then how painful that gap is. And when you get to the end of that and sharing that with your group, if you want to start talking about potential solutions or ideas of how you can address the pain and address the gap, that would be a great next step. Okay, so with that, I'm going to split us up into breakout rooms. This would be great if you are able to come back on camera to join for that. And then this is just going to be automatic. I'm not designing these in any specific group. So good luck. And again, I'll try and pop in and visit and observe here. Um, but feel free to share whatever you're comfortable, sharing in a recorded context with us. Okay. See you soon. Enjoy your conversations. Welcome back. I'll give the other group a few more seconds. They might get the proverbial hook. So happens. Happens. All right. Welcome back. And there it is. There was the hook. Um, So you had a full conversation about support, and obviously this also doubles as an opportunity to network, to get exposure to others in the industries and the roles that they're in. And my hope is that you had a chance to get to know people and connect, as well as just have a chance to kind of talk out what your support system looks like and what you think you might be able to do to improve. So I'd love to ask the group more broadly, based on your discussions, what was it that you identified as a possible gap? And did you start to come up with a solution for that or not? So let's start with gaps. What were some of the gaps that your groups had identified?
Um, I would say for our group is just seeking, looking at more options, or seeking mentorship. Seeking mentorship was kind of what we I think revolved around of for how we felt. Anyone else
Okay,
can speak
great. Thanks,
too as
Khalil.
well.
I feel like we had very different answers actually. Gloria had stated that she didn't really need any help with support. She's doing great. And Stephanie said she was on the higher end of needing support from all different kinds of areas, which is always good. With the 3 different lives she said she's living. And for myself, I said mentorship, leadership, and friendship. I would love to have more support from.
Yeah, great. Thank you for sharing. Any other kind of identified areas that came up in conversation?
I think with our group, like Khalil said, it was a lot about mentorship or like guidance from leadership. But it was interesting. We all kind of said that, but in like a different aspect of how we each needed it. Um,
Yeah.
So that's interesting, just how much of a topic that kind of overlaps, but in different ways and how it all shows up differently for us. So I thought that was kind of cool.
Great. Yeah, thank you for sharing. So I'd love to understand, what would you suggest or what would you like to do to start filling in those gaps for yourself? Anyone have a suggestion or an idea for themselves, or maybe for one of the other group members that came to them that they hadn't shared yet?
I guess I would say I can try to speak for my group, and also mainly less looking in the mirror for myself, is just to be a little bit more intentional when it comes to if I have a need, try to see what's out there and seek that mentorship, as far as that, seek that support, as far as having more open conversations with my leadership, and also as well, just I'm just in the company that I'm in, the person might be staring me right in the face. So I just need to be, more mindful of who I have, Monday through Friday, just for, my position, since I'm in person, to, there people are only an email away. You never know who's willing to help. So I just got to do that, and also just seek those opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah, intentionality is a key theme there. Thanks, Khalil. That's great. Julia?
I actually kind of wanted to piggyback on that, um, because there are more opportunities in front of you than you really know. For example, I do have a little bit of help with mentorship. I actually reached out to a coworker who's on the sales team who has years and years of experience. And we have a stand-up meeting every week just to talk about any questions I have, any advice I'm seeking, things like that. So if there's someone at your work that you think could be, a great mentor, or someone that has experience, I would recommend reaching out to them, like Khalil kind of said.
Mm, yeah, great. Reach out to the mentor. Don't neglect those people right in front of you. Yeah, thanks, Julia.
I think
Christina?
what I was thinking is very similar to that. Not so I won't repeat everything, but being proactive about reaching out to people, but doing it not just when I'm like looking for a job, because it's very easy when you're in a job or you're starting a new job to just, you only really interact with your current coworkers. And I think there's a lot of value to continuing to stay in touch with past coworkers, past bosses, and even, the broader network on an ongoing basis rather than just as you're starting to look for something new.
Yeah, so staying in touch and reaching out outside of just like the normal time when you would do that. Yeah. Yeah, that's great. Thanks, Christina. Stephanie?
Um, these are all great tips, and I think part of it too is like being more comfortable asking for help. And I think, being in this session and the breakout session is like, oh, I'm not the only one who feels this way. Um, is There's some comfort in that. Not that I want other people to be feeling like they need support, but it's like, oh, I'm not the only one. And as you get the confidence or the comfort to say, like, I could really use some help. And the second part of that, I think, is having an idea for what would help you as opposed to just going empty handed, is good. And then also for me, it's like remembering to say yes to things that will help me. Like, Zachary, when you emailed me about this, like I was out of town and I was like trying to field so many emails, like trying to not be underwater while also trying to appreciate being on vacation. And it was like, you were so kind to send me a follow-up email like, hey, I just want to check in. And it's like, I want to do this because this is one way that like I can also feel some support, is like by saying yes to something like this, or saying yes to a dinner with a friend, even though that means like I can't work as late as I normally would. Sometimes it's just remembering to say yes to things that are going to help you feel full
Yeah. Yeah,
or
thanks, Stephanie.
whole or complete.
Yeah. Yeah, Taylor.
I was gonna say, one thing that I like had a discussion about outside of this group, but I think kind of hits on some of the themes, is the idea. Some people I think are like the idea of a mentor, like they're like, oh, I can't be a mentor. Like I'm still figuring it out for myself. But it's like, Julia, kind of following up on you said, like finding just somebody who you trust, who you feel comfortable talking to, and just being like, hey, can we set aside time just to like talk through what you're going through, what I'm going through, just like tips and tricks, bounce it off each other. And then it like becomes a mentorship kind of thing. I think like some people, the title of mentor, they're like, oh, no, thank you. Like that's too much pressure. But just having a person, even if they are not like your mentor, can still be your mentor. And I think that was just really helpful for me when I was reaching out to somebody about wanting them to be my mentor. She was like, well, what am I going to do? I can't help you with all that. I was like, you'll be able, like, trust me. So I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but, or just like felt that way. It seems almost like too official, but it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. The title can be off-putting or challenging, and yeah. And yet sometimes it's just a conversation with a friend. Yeah. Peer mentorship and whatnot. Thanks, Taylor. Gloria, anything to share or?
I would say when we connected in the private groups, I realized that we had more in common than I thought. I know Julia, she works for an IT firm, and they also do digital marketing, right? Which is like my background. I'm doing my master's in digital marketing. And I was a little bit surprised, like, okay, being able to be in certain environments where you're with like-minded people is very important because you can collaborate, share information, or be able to get advice from people that can help you because they understand. And I would say also networking, because Julia also mentioned networking, and she started networking last year, and she realized the value of networking, which I second that as well, and which is one of the ways that we were also able to meet Zach through networking and that networking event.
Yeah.
I actually met Zach in my neighborhood first. Zach is my
Oh,
neighbor.
oh wow.
But yes. And
And
then
then
we
we
realized we have so many other connections. So that's
Mhm.
super cool. But
then
I
we ran into
actually,
each other at a networking event, right?
yeah, yeah. It's so funny. No, I actually wanted to piggyback on Gloria because she was talking about how we all have so much in common. And I almost feel like a peer relationship could be more beneficial in some ways than a mentor because you're going to have more in common. Like all of us have way more in common than we do with probably a mentor, which is those relationships are different and can be beneficial in their own ways. But I'm now thinking maybe I just need to surround myself with more people like this group um, to talk about what we're struggling with and how we can help each other. So
Mm, yeah. Thanks, Julia.
I agree.
Thanks, Gloria. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's a big driver for why I hoped to create a group like this, is to create that context for us as young professionals to have the conversations that we can't usually have in other contexts. So that said, I would like to know two things. One, what is actually, this is just for you, but spend 30 seconds to write down for yourself, what is one action that you'd like to take in response to today's coaching session? Because this could be a great conversation and we could just leave it there, right? Lessons are learned. But if there's an action that you can take to put something into action here, right, to give yourself some more support, go ahead and take 30 seconds now to write down what that would be for you. All right. And once you've made that decision, you can also think about who's one person who you'd like to share that with, right? Oftentimes it's in sharing what we've said, what we want to do, that makes it real for us. So some of us are really good at being self-motivated and doing what we think we should do. Others of us, we need a little more external support. So again, think through who you can share that with. All right. And then I do want to create an opportunity for you all to connect. So if you'd like to go ahead and copy your LinkedIn profile and put it in the chat. That way you can stay connected beyond just this pilot if you'd like to. And as you're doing that, there's a coaching tool that we call bottom lining. And it's essentially, in a sentence, what is the point? What's the value here? And so it would really be wonderful if you don't mind. Bottom line for me, what did you find valuable about this conversation or this experience today? And we'll end on that. So we can go around no particular order, but if you don't mind, give me a sentence or bottom line for me, what it is that you found valuable about today's experience.
I would say that this experience, that everyone has some similar feelings, about what, it might be different thoughts, but it's similar feelings. Everyone kind of resonates on the same feelings and things, and everyone's trying to reach the same goal as far as doing something that they want to do, but don't know how to do it, but are trying to actively find that solution, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, yeah. Thank you, Khalil.
I think it's interesting how each of us are in a different field and a different discipline doing all kinds of different stuff, but kind of like Khalil said, like struggles are the same kind of thing. Like no matter if you are in academia, engineering, government work, IT, medical, like the struggles that you are going to have, especially as a young professional and trying to figure out those next steps, are going to look similar. So I think sometimes we get bogged down in like our own bubble of work, but everyone's trying to figure it out and do their best.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Taylor. Other thoughts? What'd you find
I
valuable
would
in a
say, oh,
sentence?
sorry. I would say having like a group where people can hold you accountable. Perhaps like you're working on certain goals, everyone shares, and then we're able to reconvene and just see how far everyone has been able to accomplish, whether it's, conflict resolution at work, whether it's just managing workload and, you know, being able to hold each other accountable and exchange and collaborate and being solution oriented.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Gloria.
I think today made me realize that um, peer connections are actually more valuable to me than a mentorship. And that, like Gloria said, might help me keep, myself aligned with goals and getting stuff done. Because I'm the type of person where I don't know if you guys have heard of like body doubling, where it's like kind of like an ADHD thing where you need someone else in the room to like actually be productive. Um, and I kind of feel that way. So yeah, I don't know where
Yeah,
I was going with that. That's that.
yeah, yeah. Those peer connections are so valuable. Thank you, Julia. Stephanie?
Um, I agree. First of all, I agree with everything everyone's saying, but just one more to add would be um, like not underestimating the importance of doing something to invest in yourself, like slowing down and taking the time to say yes to something like this, to be like, what am I struggling with, or what would be helpful, or what would be good professional development, and not pushing it off for the 20 things you have on your to-do list for the day that are part of your work tasks, but just like slowing down, remembering that this is important too, um,
Yeah,
and actually doing it, making
yeah,
the space.
yes. Slow down, invest in yourself. Yeah, that's great. Christina, last word, and then I'll hang on here a little bit longer. So if you need to click the links to connect with everyone, you're able to do that. But if you need to jump as well, that's okay. But Christina, last word from you. What
Well,
did you
my
learn?
last word is ditto because I was just going
Yeah,
to say everything everyone has said has resonated. I think hearing other people in similar situations, getting a broader perspective than just the field that we're in, taking the time to like stop and think, all of that is so valuable. And yeah, build some solidarity, I think.
yeah. Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you all so much for being a part of this pilot and giving me a chance to be able to share with my network what it would feel like to be a part of this group for young professionals. I'm also building one for managers, so those who have at least one direct report. But yeah, this is, I think, a great example of what this experience should feel like. And I thank each of you for taking the time today. So I'm glad you got some value out of this as well. And I'll hang out for another minute so that you can click those links if you needed to and haven't gotten those yet, so you can stay connected. Thank you again.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Zachary.
Thank
Zachary.
you.
Have a
This was
great day,
lovely.
Thank
everyone.
you.
Thanks,
Have a good
Zachary,
day.
so much.
You're welcome. All right, so that's a great example of what this course will feel like, or pure, you know, technically a group coaching program. And it's really, I'm designing it to be a leadership development program for young professionals. So the idea around this is you come together with other young professionals, you talk about, leading yourself, you talk about how to get more support, you talk about transitions and how do you navigate your career? How do you achieve what you're hoping to achieve, and how do you reach your potential? And so I hope that this was an interesting experience for you. If you have any questions, you're welcome to reach out to me. But this is one of the video assets that I'm building to give people a picture of what this experience is like. Now, of course, this is a little different. It will be confidential and it will not be recorded on a regular basis. Other than occasional pilots or trainings that I would be running as a part of this. My intent is to have this as an evergreen group. So you join and you graduate whenever you feel you're ready or you're done, or you graduate out of this role of being an individual contributor to now you're a manager with direct reports, or you have, you're now managing managers, right? Those would be the graduation points. And with that, thank you for spending the time listening to this. I hope that this was valuable to you, both in the exercise as well as in the experience of making a decision about what this group could be for you. And while I am building a wait list as of the time of this recording, I expect very soon that it will be a full and live group. My intent is to start with at least 6 people, as you saw an experience that can be really good in terms of a small group. And then it'll scale up because I want to create accessibility for people. So you might only be able to drop in once or twice a month, and that's fine. The design of this is to make it accessible so that you can drop in when you're available. And for managers, that would be on Tuesdays at noon Eastern. For individual contributing young professionals, that would be most likely on Fridays at noon Eastern. And if I build a second group, Thursday noon Eastern are the times I'm intending. And so, yes, thank you again for listening. And I'll look forward to talking with you further if I can be supportive in answering more of your questions about how this could potentially be valuable for someone in your network, someone who reports to you at your company, or even for you yourself if you're a young professional. All right, thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.